Hey guys, welcome back to the show. So today we're going to answer one of those questions I get asked all the time. Just a quick little recap though. Oh my god, the Seiko video that I posted last week has like gone crazy. I'm like so ungodly touched. I'm already at over 4,000 views as I record this, and it hasn't even been a week. I mean, my god, you guys, thank you so much. I recognize that to some YouTubers that's no big deal, but to me that means a lot. And subscriptions are up. We just crossed 5,000 and it's climbing like crazy. I'm humbled. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I really, really, really appreciate it. I have to say that. And so I read all the comments. I try to respond to all the comments. It's getting harder and harder and harder. I mean, I get hundreds of comments a day now. I mean, just that Seiko video, I got like 270 some odd comments on it already. Oh my God. And I try to respond to as many as that I can. So this is a question I'm actually responding to from comments that I've gotten. So before we get there, wristwatch check. I'm wearing the Rolex GMT Master 2. Now, you know, I've gotten a lot of feedback that you guys are telling me to try these things on another band. So I'm a traditionalist. I like Rolexes on bracelets, but I figured, you know, hey, what the hell? I'd give it a shot. Got it on this Headley Roma calfskin strap, and you know what? I kind of like it. I'll have to put a picture on Instagram and you guys can tell me what you think of it. But hey, I figured it's worth a shot, and you know what? I'm kind of into it, so we'll see where it goes. So, sorry, I think I just spit a little bit when I did that too. So what's this video about? Well, I get asked all the time, you know, why don't I buy watches from authorized dealers? And, you know, especially higher-end watches like this Rolex, you know, again, people have asked me why I didn't buy it from an authorized dealer. By the way, I haven't really been specific on where I buy stuff. And I just want to touch that too, because that's a question that comes up all the time. Why don't I tell you guys what I pay for stuff and where I buy it from? And the reality is two things. One is the market changes it all the time. And so I don't know when you guys are going to be watching my videos. If I tell you what something I paid for it, it may be way too expensive given the market conditions or way too cheap depending on when you watch the video. So I don't want to do that. That and I'm private. But the other reason, and the big one, is why I don't tell you where I buy stuff from, is because when you're talking about watches, especially ones that are mechanically complex and they can be expensive, I would hate, to give a recommendation of a jewelry store where one of my, viewers has a bad experience. You know, I'm happy to help each of you guys recommendations on finding someone, but I really don't want to have, any of you guys watching my video have a negative experience from a place that I've recommended. So that's just, honestly, that's just something I'm not comfortable doing, and I apologize. But I did not buy this Rolex from an authorized dealer. I have not bought a watch from an authorized dealer in many, many years. And there's several reasons for that, and that's what this video is about for you guys. As always, I might cause who knows what I'll talk about in this video. I'm just going to be myself, so just forewarning. I try not to offend anybody, but just the way I am. So, a couple things. The biggest reason why I don't buy from authorized dealers, as you guys would know if you've watched me, is that I think they're overpriced. And so, I like to say that I'm cheap, but the reality is that money is a resource to be respected, and I think you should get the most bang per buck, right? And, gray market dealers offer way more bang per buck than authorized dealers do. And if I can buy a watch, for substantially less money from a gray market dealer than I can from an authorized dealer, why wouldn't I? And also, authorized dealers sell new watches, gray market dealers and used dealers sell vintage watches. So, I couldn't exactly walk into a new Rolex dealer and buy a 16710 GMT Master. It doesn't work that way typically, unless they have a pre-owned program, but that's a whole nother video topic. I've bought watches from authorized dealers before, and before I get on to why they drive me nuts, let me just do you a little bit of a favor and tell you why that they are really good. And just by the way, this is going to be a video about just my personal opinions. If you want, reasons from a logical standpoint, which is typically my forte of why you'd go to an authorized dealer versus a gray market versus, say, eBay, I actually created a video on that, and I'm going to post a link in the description right here. So guys, feel free to go check that out if you're looking for a logical argument of why you'd pick one over the other and what's the best place to pick up a particular watch. That's the video you're going to want to watch. If you're otherwise, this video is just going to be my opinion about like the culture of authorized dealers. So stay tuned if you care about that. If not, the other video is probably more for you. So just to start off, authorized dealers, I used to buy from them, and there are some great things about them. And actually, I was going through some old stuff. And one of the reasons is they give you really cool stuff. I'll talk about this in a sec, but they really are good at creating a lifestyle and kind of creating this like specialness factor about you buying from them. I will never forget the first time that I saw a Torno store in Michigan when I was a kid, and just, it was a beautiful store. And as a little kid that couldn't afford a really nice watch, I was super jealous of these people going in there buying these really expensive watches. I wanted to be a part of it. And you know, I've been blessed in life where I've been able to go do stuff. I've been able to walk into one of those stores and I've been able to buy a watch. You know, and as a kid, you know, it's something I always wanted to do, and I've been fortunate in life where I was able to go do that. I went into, you know, the Tourneau store that I was always kind of jealous of as a kid, and I went and I bought watches out of this authorized dealer in Michigan, and it was a really cool experience. And that's what ADs do very well. They create this experience for you. You know, they take very good care of their repeat customers. I was a common customer at this particular store, and they took very good care of me. I was on a first name basis with some of the salespeople. They used to give me free stuff all the time. You know, I had this, they used to give me these like special magazines. You know, this one's like a special on Omega. This one's, you know, 8 or 9 years old now because it's been a while since I bought from that store. Just, you know, cool stuff. They used to give me, like, here's a specialty Rolex thing. This is called, what is this, Stiletto. This is just some gorgeous photography on here. You know, if you're into watches, this is on a watchmaking school. I mean, there's some cool stuff in here, and I'll have to do a video on this stuff too, but you know, I used to go in there and I got treated like I was a rock star, and they give me this just really, really cool stuff. And, you know, it's just, it was very special. The store was very nice, and you'd walk in there and they just had obviously beautiful display cases, and you're looking at, you know, ludicrously expensive Patek Philippe's and all these really, really nice watches, and you feel very special to be in there, at least someone like me. You know, just to have these people waiting on you hand and foot, giving you free stuff, taking good care of you, and to be in the company of this ludicrously expensive watch collection. And the other thing that's great about ADs too, just to be fair, is you're basically guaranteed not to get a fake because they're buying stuff directly from the manufacturer. They're authorized to sell from the manufacturer. And if they really like you and you're one of their common customers, and I was fortunate that I was able to kind of do quite a bit of business with a couple of these stores, you know, they'll go out of their way to get you special pieces that may be hard to find if they're current pieces. You know, if they don't have it in stock, it's not a big deal. They'll order, you know, pieces, you know, for you, and they'll make sure that you get what you want. They'll take care of you on that front. Now, here's the reason why I hate them. So reason number one, obviously, was that they're overpriced, because you're paying full retail, and it's like buying a car. The second you walk out of that dealership, or the second you drive off the lot with the car analogy, you've lost a substantial amount of money. Whereas if you're buying from a gray market, or there's other ways to buy watches as well, you're taking a lot less of a hit because you're buying a watch much closer to what you can actually sell it for yourself. And people are always like, well, if I paid this much money, why can't I sell a watch for this much money? And the reason is because you're not a dealer. You don't have the credibility, you don't have the pretty showroom to get the same amount of money for something that they do. But that's a topic for a whole nother video. But here's the reason that I really hate dealers. And that is the whole sales environment and the way that they kind of size you up when they go in the door, and just the way that they treat people that don't look like their demographic. So what I mean by this? Well, I mean a couple things. So let me start off, kind of tackle them one by one. You know, I'm always trying to learn new things for you guys, try to get stuff for the channel to make sure that I stay on top of things. You guys ask me about watches and things that honestly, it's like I know so much, but there's always stuff that I don't know. And so a couple weeks ago, I actually went on a little fact finding mission for you guys. I went out trying to get some watch catalogs, and you know, you guys are asking me about, you know, all these kinds of brands I've never even heard of before, but even some that I have, obviously. I mean, like, here's a catalog I just got on Oris. I have no idea what their line looks like. I mean, I know like the Aquas and some of their big lines, but I had no idea Oris had this many different watches for sale. And so I wanted to go out and just kind of get a better sense of what they got going on so I can stay up to date and keep giving you guys good information. You know, we've started talking about Hamilton on the channel as well, and I bought a Hamilton, and actually I'm still really liking that watch. So again, I know about the Yacht-Master and stuff. I really had no idea they had all this other stuff going on. So I kind of went on these missions. You know, here's some Rolex catalogs. This is Cellini. Point being, all this pretty stuff, I know. I'll have to do a video on these things. Anyway, I went out there basically looking for some catalogs, and I knew if I went into some authorized dealers and kind of struck up a conversation with them, odds are I could get some catalogs out of them. So again, I'm getting on tangents, but the whole reason that this conversation started is I went and ventured into some ADs looking to see if I could get some watch catalogs so I could, again, make sure I'm up to date on stuff for you guys, and I figured you guys would find these catalogs interesting too, because ADs love to give free stuff to their customers. So again, Anthony, why do you hate authorized dealers? So again, there's the cost factor, but here's the real reason. I hate the superficiality of it, and I hate people being nice to me just to kiss my ass to get money out of my pocket. You know, and I hate too that they judge people on the way that they look and the way they act. What do I mean by that? You know, walking into these authorized dealers, you know, dressed reasonably nice, wearing, you know, expensive shirts and expensive watches, they're going to kiss your ass. I mean, the reality is this has been the case every time I've walked into an authorized dealer. The second you walk in that door, they're sizing you up and they're guesstimating the size of your bank account. You know, and it's not just you, it's whoever you're with. If you walk in there with, you know, your boyfriend or your girlfriend, and let's just say, you know, your girlfriend or whatever is carrying a really expensive purse, that all comes in the factor. And the more money they think you got, the more they're going to go out of their way to roll out the red carpet and, you know, kiss your ass. And here's kind of the problem with that. And I grant you, it's not an authorized dealer problem per se, it's just a sales problem per se. I mean, car dealers have the same kind of stereotypes. They're basically going to try to figure out how much they think they can get out of you, and if they think you're a customer that's willing to buy a really expensive watch or could afford a really expensive watch, they're going to go out of their way to make you feel like royalty, and they're going to, you know, just kiss your ass to get you to buy a really expensive watch from them. And here's the deal. You know, I don't want people just being nice to me for the sake of being nice to me. It's very uncomfortable. I don't want people just kissing nice and, you know, kissing my ass and pretending to be my buddy with me just because they're trying to get money out of my pocket. I don't like people treating me like that. I don't feel people need to kiss my ass, and I don't want people being nice to me just because they want to get money out of me. That the whole dynamic just bothers me. And, you know, part of the reason that I used to like authorized dealers is I had this notion that I'd go in and there'd be people in there that really like watches. You could talk to these people about watches all day, and I could just kind of connect with people that are passionate like I'm passionate. And what I've unfortunately discovered is that a lot of these jewelry stores are staffed by people that really don't give a shit about watches, that don't know anything about watches, you know, that they've been through a tough time in the economy or what have you, and this is just a job that they took. And they're not there because of passion, they're there to make a paycheck and because they just happen to fall into a sales job. Because, you know, if you're really into watches, you want to walk into these high-end stores, you want to drool over their fancy inventory and have a good conversation with someone and discuss the rare pieces they have, and hopefully that they have the same passion that you do. And I would love nothing more to walk into a high-end authorized dealer, meet some great guy or girl in there who knows a lot about watches. They show me some cool pieces. We have a good little dynamic. They don't pressure me into anything. And, you know, maybe I decide to buy a piece from them, you know, and I'm helping another enthusiast earn a paycheck. And I just, you know, it's a good experience for me. Unfortunately, my experience has been far from that. You know, when I was buying watches in Michigan from some authorized dealers, I knew I was overpaying, of course, I was paying retail, but I actually worked with a good guy in the shop, and he was a passionate watch collector. I found, however, 9 times out of 10, again, I'm dealing with these airheads. And, you know, when I went out and was grabbing these catalogs for you guys, you know, unfortunately, it only reaffirmed my biases. You know, you guys, you may have been watching the videos on YouTube. I know, you know, Archie and Federico Talks Watches. Several people have talked about the state of the Swiss watch industry. And, you know, if you've watched those videos, and I'm not going to explain it here because they can do it better than I can, you know, obviously Swiss watch sales are down. And so people are desperate to make a sale in a lot of respects, especially on some of these lower end brands or ones that don't have the same, you know, cachet as, say, Rolex does, that don't, you know, fly off the shelves. And so you take people that are very desperate to make a sale, you add on top of that, you know, the situation that, again, they're judging people when they walk in the door to get a sense of their bank account, and then you add on top of that, you know, too, that they don't really know a hell of a lot about watches. For someone like me, you're basically creating a very negative experience for me when I walk into an authorized dealer. You know, when I first walk in the door, if I'm dressed like this, they go out of the way, I see like 50 people coming out of the woodwork. They're trying to give me coffee. They're trying to, I mean, when I went into like the first store I was looking at a couple weeks ago to get you guys a catalog, I walked in and I was curious. You know, I say in like every video, I want to get a JLC Reverso. So I figured, hey, I'm curious, you guys do JLC. And the second I walked in the store, about, you know, within like 5 seconds, like 3 people come running at me in suits. And I asked them about JLC. They honestly, I don't think they had a freaking clue what the hell it was. But, you know, can we get you coffee, sir? Can we do whatever? You know, like just totally started kissing up to me. And they said, and I said, you know, do you have any JLC? And they said, no, but we have Longines. And I said, well, you know, I don't really care about Longines. No offense to you guys that like Longines, but not my thing. But I said, you know, what else do you have? And they're like, well, sir, you need to go look at the Longines. And this jackass drags me over to some Longines countertop, and he pulls out this $13,000 18 karat gold Longines watch, part of their, I think it's part of their master collection, what have you. Which, by the way, the buckle on the watch was stainless steel. How in the hell does that work? How do you have a gold watch for $13,000 with a stainless steel buckle? I mean, that's cheap. But it's like, I just told you 5 seconds ago I have no interest in Longines and I'm here looking for something else. You drag my ass over to a countertop, and because I'm wearing nice clothes and a nice watch, you immediately just assume that you're going to go try to jerk me around and sell me a $13,000 watch. Well, fuck you. So it's like, and let me be clear too, I intentionally dressed up a little nicer going into these stores, and I intentionally wore my Rolex today because here's the reality. If I don't fit a typical customer that walks in one of these stores, I knew there was no way in hell I was going to get a catalog out of these guys, and I knew there was going to be really no way I'd even get somebody to talk to me. And you're like, well, it really can't be that bad. Well, let's think about it. So, if I walk in wearing my Rolex and I walk in, dressed like this, that's one thing, right? But what if, it's a typical Saturday and I'm just being myself, and let's just say that I'm not wearing, a shirt like this. Let's say that I'm wearing my Hershey, Pennsylvania, Hershey's Kiss commemorative edition shirt. And, let's say, obviously you guys follow me, know I don't wear Rolex exclusively. I mean, let's say I'm wearing my $30 Vostok. So, different scenario, I walk into the same jewelry store, I'm wearing my Hershey's Kisses t-shirt, and I'm wearing, my Vostok watch. Do you think the same people are going to come up to me and give me any time of day in that store? And, it's the sad truth. I mean, I've gone into these same stores on days where I'm just like, casual. And this is honestly the way that I typically dress. I'm not really I have nice clothes, but I'm a pretty casual guy. I walk into these stores wearing, one of my other watches, dressed up, like whatever, and they won't give me the time of day. It's like I don't even fucking exist. And granted, again, I'm someone who can afford stuff in these stores, and that's the way they treat you like dog shit. But if I walk in there dressed up with an expensive watch, then all of a sudden I have a target on my back of, let's see how much money we can get out of this guy, and just, let's sell him every piece of shit in the store. So that's it. That's what I'm trying to get at that really bothers me. Because I don't want to walk into a store where people are just trying to gauge my bank account, kiss my ass, and they're waiting on me hand and foot, and, getting me coffee and everything else, trying to sell me crap that I don't want. I want to walk into a store. If I am going to walk into a store, meet a fellow watch connoisseur, somebody who's just going to let, we can have a decent conversation with, and maybe if they have a piece that I really like, that I'm buying something from somebody that I really want to even be friends with and actually gets watches and appreciates and listening to me. If I tell them I don't like Longines, they're not dragging me halfway across the fucking store to look at a $13,000 Longines. And I grant you this happened in this store, but it happens in several of these stores. I've walked in them multiple times, and depending on how I'm dressed, I either get treated like I'm royalty or I don't even get talked to at all. Or they send some dipshit that's been hired, a day ago that knows nothing about watches to basically feel me out for 5 seconds and decide whether or not I'm worth talking to in the first place. It's the most absurd thing. They either want to sell me the solid gold watch or they want me to go find someone else or they don't talk to me at all. I mean, it's total nonsense. There's the famous Shakespeare's quote, and I'm probably misquoting it, that all the world is a stage we're merely actors upon it. Everybody plays a role. I'm playing a role here for you now, and I'm dressed really casually right now. There are other people on YouTube when they do, and I dress however the fuck I want on my videos. There are other people that typically dress up for their videos because, a lot of people when they expect luxury goods, they expect people that are sophisticated and gentrified to be people that would be in the know. And if I started talking about $100,000 plus watches in my Hershey's Kisses t-shirt, you guys probably wouldn't listen to me because that's just, again, a cultural norm. And we take these things for granted, but I think we all understand that we judge people, and it's just the way it is. And so for someone like me who isn't materialistic, to have people, immediately sum me up when I walk into these stores, and if they think that my bank account's large, then they just try to bleed me dry of it, is not an experience that I want to partake in. So let me know what you guys think. And again, this isn't just my experience. I've had talked to several of my other watch buddies. We've all kind of had very similar experiences. I know people that could afford, multi-million-dollar watches if they wanted to, and they walked in these stores and got treated like dog shit because they happened to show up in shorts and a t-shirt. And, there's this snob factor. And I talked about this in my video too about watch snobs. The dealers are extremely snobby. And, obviously high-end cars are very similar. There's, obviously people that have gone to BMW, Mercedes dealerships will know what I'm talking about as well. There's this elite snobbishness that goes around luxury goods. And, the authorized dealers fall into this trap too. They're appealing to their audience. There's kind of my video blog rant for you guys that are curious. I'd rather just do my research online. If I want to talk watches to people, I can go to the forums, I can go to YouTube, and I can get that kind of taken care of. But it's unfortunate that I really just, all these stores have all this great inventory. I don't like going into them because I don't like the way that I get treated. I don't like people being nice to me because they feel like they're trying to get my hand in my pocket, or blowing me off because they think that I'm poor. I don't like that aesthetic. But if you like human psychology and you want to get free shit, what you can do is dress up really nice, wear one of your nice watches, walk in, feign interest in some stuff, but don't make your mind up, and be like, hey, why don't you give me some of your catalogs? I'm gonna take them home and I'm gonna read them. And since I know you guys can get whatever I want, I'll just come back in a week or so and maybe you guys can order a watch for me. Great way to get some free swag, baby. So you could do that too. You can go milk it for all it's worth. Go and get your free coffee, get yourself some nice catalogs and some nice swag, and there's a great way to deal with an authorized dealer. So again, that's my bias. That's why I don't do it. It's awkward for me. I'm not materialistic. I'm just a guy that likes watches that's been fortunate. And so that's my thing. I don't like the dealership experience. I think it's crap. It costs more money. I don't like the way they treat me. I think the whole thing just feels like pomp and circumstance and snobbery, and I don't want anything to do with it. So there you go, guys. Hopefully you found this helpful. Again, I'm talking too much as usual. But yeah, so let me know. I know this is kind of bloggy-ish. If you guys thought this was stupid, tell me to stop it and I'll stop it. But otherwise, let me know what you think. Have you guys experienced the same crap too? I mean, do you walk into these stores and people don't give you the time of day because you're dressed normally? Or do you walk in there and you might be dressed up or wearing one of your nicer watches, and all of a sudden they're your new best friend and they're trying to sell you the most expensive piece of shit in the store? Let me know what you think. I mean, maybe you guys have better experiences than I have had. I'd love to hear that be the case. I'd love to walk into one of these stores and meet a guy like Paul Thorpe or like Federico from Federico Talks Watches. I would be happy to buy a watch from those guys because they really appreciate watches, and I think, I'd be happy to help, somebody get a paycheck that's into watches and help support somebody else in the community. I would totally like to do that. But I feel like that's just not the way it is anymore common-wise. I feel like it's like a lot of these people, that's just the job they got stuck with. They hate watches, and you're a piece of meat, and all they're trying to do is rack up the charges and get as much money out of you as they can. So that's going to be a wrap. If you guys want to stalk me on social media, I'll probably post an Instagram pic of this, the GMT on the strap. I'm really curious what you guys think. Let me know. But Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all in the description. The description also is going to include a link to that video where I actually talk about why you should go to an AD versus a gray market versus eBay, for example. So that's going to be more of a logical thing, not me ranting about my own idiosyncrasies. So hope you guys found this helpful. Thank you guys so much. Again, I'm humbled. The Seiko video, I'm like, I can't believe how well it's done within the week. My subscription rate, everything, you guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate you tuning in. I'm going to keep pumping out content. I'm going to try to redo one of my replica versus real Rolex videos as technology's come a long way. I think I can do a better version of it now. I'm going to do the Hamilton versus the Seiko Sarb line videos. I got a bunch of stuff coming out. Stay tuned for more. If you haven't already, subscribe, so we'll catch each other on the next video. Thanks so much.